If you missed the last video, you have no idea why I have this gallon of mystery oil, but you can catch up somewhere up here. But to sum it up, this engine had low compression, and the consensus in the comments was to fill the cylinders up with mystery oil or ATF, let it sit for 24 hours, then we can get it fired up, recompression test, run it up to temp, and see if it's any better before we pull this engine. None of the cylinders should be on top dead center, so what we'll do is we'll stick this tube in here, we'll pump it full of mystery oil, and then we'll let it sit. Cylinders are full, we'll get the plugs back in, and then I'll see you in 24 hours to compression test it. And we're back. We've got it sitting over 24 hours with mystery oil, truck's hooked up, ready to turn it over, make sure there's no more oil in the cylinders, and then we'll compression test it and see if the cylinders are any better. I just don't know if anything's going to come out.
Oh! Oh no.
Okay, there was a lot of oil left in the cylinders.
It is everywhere.
It's on the ceiling.
Oh no.
Okay. We should have covered it. It got everywhere. Towel. We're gonna sacrifice a towel and hopefully get most of that out, and we'll worry about the mess later. So let's try it again. Turn it over for a little bit. $70 PSI. So we went up 20 PSI on this cylinder. It'd probably go higher, but the engine's not cranking very fast because I'm trying to do it off a 12-volt battery off of 8-gauge jumper cables. So, good sign. Let's keep going. $100 PSI on cylinder 2. 100 on cylinder 3. 85, 90 on cylinder 4. And I think if we had a good set of jumper cables or a battery with short battery cables, we'd crank it a lot faster and the compression would be higher. So it looks like we're gonna get this engine running. I'm gonna make a list of parts. We're gonna get distributor, coil, plug wires, new plugs. We're gonna get this engine running. So I'll be back when the parts come in and we'll go from there. Santa came and brought us some goodies. Now, before I open this box, there's two ways you can do this. One is you keep the original 6-volt system. And the other is we convert everything over to 12 volts. That's new distributor, new coil, new alternator. That's the route we're gonna take. I know, you can yell at me in the comments on how 6-volt, you should keep it original, but I'm gonna keep all the old parts, so if we have to swap it back, we'll swap it back. But I've got a box of goodies. We've got an ignition coil, a set of spark plugs, a set of plug wires, and the new solid state distributor. With cylinder 1 on top dead center, we can take this distributor out now. Why won't you come out? These get rusted into the block and they're very difficult to get out. So hopefully we can get on it with this. Woo! Moved a little bit. I'm just gonna move it to free it up. And then hopefully then we can use the crow's foot and lift it off, or lady slipper, whatever these are called. We got it. One distributor. All right. Now, put the new one in. I'll try to get some of this rust out without letting it go down into the block. Okay. Let's see if it'll go in the hole now. So we got the spring. Drop into place, please. Doesn't want to go home. It comes out really easy. What are you getting stuck on? Old distributor was in there like this, facing that way. So little end, it's offset. So little end was on the top, big end's on the bottom. It was in there like this. So if we put this safely there, we got the new one, and we put this where it should face, the little end is on the bottom and not the top. So we need to swap this plate over, which puts the hole on the other side, so we can now match them. That'll work. It's now facing a completely different spot, so I have no idea. That's in. I think that's in all the way. Okay, now we bolt it back up. Distributor's in, but all the videos in the manual, and even taking the old one out, said that it was either needing to face cylinder number 1 or 5 o'clock, which is down towards the alternator, not facing 6, 7, 8 o'clock towards the starter. And what I'm going to try to do is put this back here, like so, and then, well, I guess it goes like that. And then, I guess make this cylinder 1, and then follow the firing order counterclockwise, so this would be 3 and so on. I don't know. You can tell me what I'm doing wrong in the comments, because might not start. Not the way I'm doing it. Get the cap back on. Actually, before we do that, we should probably see if it turns. We'll just note that this one is number 1. I'll take my safety tape off. We have a real battery now. All right, with the safety tape disengaged. It turns. Whatever that means. 1, 2, caps on. Okay, this is gonna be number 1. 3, okay. 4 shiny new spark plugs. 1, I guess is gonna be shortest. We'll find a nice way to route these later. So, 1 is gonna go into this post here. Okay, there's 1. Doesn't have to look pretty. We'll tie them up later. It just needs to start the engine. Since we're precariously placing everything, we're gonna put the ignition coil here, because that looks like a good spot for it. An engine needs 3 things to start. It needs air. That was the compression that we did last video and at the beginning of this video. It also needs spark. That 12-volt ignition system should take care of that. Hopefully, assuming I did it right. And the last thing it needs is fuel. If we have all 3 of those, the engine should run. Let's figure out fuel. We've got a little primer bulb because this fuel line is broken. So the pump's probably bad, the fuel line's definitely bad. We'll figure that out later. I also just slammed a hose barb on here to fill that up. I really hope before this was put away that all the fuel was drained out. Otherwise, this carb is probably all gummed up and it's not even gonna start tonight. But I hope it does, because I wanna hear it run. All right, well. Guess we wanna see if it works. Let's put power. Power. The ignition coil should have power, which means there should be spark. Do you want to check to see if there's spark? Should probably check to see if there's spark first. You know what? Let's just turn it over and see what happens. That's what we'll do. Okay, and it ran! It didn't ran good.
It didn't ran good.
But it ran. Let's try it again. Nope. Choke it. That wasn't great. Let's let that cool down for a second. That's all the mystery oil. We're just burning oil. All right, ready? Oh, as soon as I unchoked it. I didn't see if there was any oil pressure. Let's just double check the oil level. Disconnect the coil, tuck that in safely so it doesn't go sparky spark. Well, it's got oil. So either the gauge is bad or it's a mechanical gauge, so I wouldn't think it was bad, but. All right, let's see if it'll start again. It's looking way too clear in here.
Okay.
Big sparks. I was doing it through my safety tape. I mean, it runs pretty good. We're gonna have to adjust the timing a little bit, but let's see. Do we have oil pressure? We have no oil pressure. Well, according to the gauge, we have no oil pressure. And to shut it off? No more ignition. Okay. It runs. It runs pretty good, which means we didn't screw up the electrical. We need to figure out the oil pressure because I don't want to run it without knowing if there's oil pressure. But I think that's going to have to wait till tomorrow. Once we figure out the oil pressure, we'll get it fired back up, because if the oil pressure is low or there's no oil pressure, now we need to start looking at replacing the oil pump. And I don't want to do that. So I'll see you in the morning. We'll get the oil pressure hopefully figured out and figure out what our next steps are. At idle, this thing's only going to make 6 psi of oil pressure, so it could be really hard to see on a 2-inch gauge. So let's get it running again, and we'll see if we can get it up to 2,000 RPM or so, and maybe we can see if there's oil pressure then. Oh, we have oil. Yep, we got oil coming out everywhere. We have oil pressure. And I don't really know where it was leaking from, aside from this top screw. This is gonna be hot just because that's exhaust. And there's currently no coolant in it, so we can't really run it. Oh, temp gauge works. It's at 140. I tightened the oil cap, so hopefully we won't have an oil leak anymore. Now, we'll put some water in it, and then I think the next logical step is we try to drive it. At least see if it'll move. Then we do some soul searching and figure out what the next steps are. Step 1, start it. Get a title. Then we're gonna hop in the driver's seat. There's no seat. We're gonna hop in the driver's side. Try to shift it into first and reach that chalk. That's gonna work, I think. So, step 1, get it started and idling. Okay. Step 2 is stall it out because I don't think the clutch actually disengaged. Let's try it again. That's reverse. Okay, we learned a few things. 1, that clutch doesn't disengage, so that needs to be adjusted. We also need to hook up a gas pedal so I can actually feather the gas out of the clutch. But we know reverse works and we know a forward gear works. I don't know the shifting pattern of this. I'll have to look it up. But I think we have a path forward. I don't know what that path is. It's going to have to do with figuring out what's missing and what we need to get. But mechanically, everything seems like it's gonna work. We've got oil pressure, temperature, compression came up. It starts, it runs, it idles. I don't know. Let me know what we should do with this, if we should modify it, bring it back to OEM, minus the 12 volt, I know, it's fine. Let me know. Tell me that I should have done 6, it's fine. We'll figure it out. If you like what's going on here, you want to see more of it, make sure you like, subscribe, let me know what you want to see, what you want to see done to this, what you want to see for future projects. Until then, thanks for watching.